Hi, everybody. My guest this week is Rory Vaden, a friend of mine now for about the past 3 or 4 years, and very thankful for our friendship. Rory is a New York Times best-selling author of the book Take the Stairs, 7 Steps to Achieving True Success. He has a wonderful way of taking these really powerful principles for us as human beings and distilling them down into simple understandings, and also creating a call to action for you to begin to applying more of these. He's in the National Speakers Association Hall of Fame. He and his wife AJ co-founded a wonderful company called Brand Builders Group. That's how I met Rory, to assist what they call mission-driven messengers with how to get your message out into the world more. Rory just has tremendous insight, and we touch on an awful lot of great things in this podcast. And you really want to listen for the story that he tells about the cows and the buffalo. And you're sitting there going, wait, cows and buffalo, what? Listen for the story about the cow and the buffalo, and then think to yourself, which one are you? All right, so here we go with my friend and New York Times best-selling author, Rory Vaden. Everybody, well, you heard about my friend Rory Vaden in the intro here, and I appreciate you jumping in to listen to our conversation. I'm sure it'll be valuable for you. Rory, thanks so much for spending some time with us.
Buddy, what an honor. I love you. You are an amazing man, and I love everything that you're about. Me and my wife, AJ, we're Danny Bader fans, and so thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So, Rory, tell everybody a little bit. I met you about 3 years ago, and certainly thankful for that, both from a business perspective, as you've helped me grow my brand as a speaker and as an author, even more so as a friend now. So let's focus a little bit on the business part. What are you and your wife, AJ, your partner, up to with Brand Builders?
Yeah, so Brand Builders Group is a personal brand strategy firm, right? So we help experts become more well-known. Mm-hmm. So we work exclusively with people. We don't work with companies. We work with people. Anybody who either wants to become more well-known for a business reason, like either they have something they want to sell or they want to drive awareness for their business, mm-hmm. or they want to get a promotion, right? Or maybe get a raise, or they just want to sort of like raise their public profile, right? Or just anybody who wants to make a difference in the world, and they don't care about money at all. They feel like they have a message on their heart that they want to share, and they're looking for a vehicle or vehicles to express that and how to, really clarify their position in the marketplace, understand what that message is, and then help teach them an avenue for how to express, whatever it is that's on their heart. Mission-driven messengers, as we say.
Yeah, I love that term you call us, mission-driven messengers. Well, so how do you define a brand? That's a word I think I probably first heard it. I don't know. I mean, I always heard it about products, right? Fritos or Lucky Charms or something like that. And then I think it was probably about 15 years ago when they started talking about, hey, everybody, people have a personal brand. What does that mean? How do you define that?
Yeah. So here's what I would say. What's important is how not to define it, or how not to think about it, or how I think a lot of people think of it is, so there's a brand, like when I think the same way, just same as you, right? When I hear brand, I think, cereal or Nike or Apple or Tesla. Mm-hmm. Those are company brands. They're product brands. In recent years, there's been, ever since the explosion of the web, like Web 2.0, so websites, and then Web 1.0 would have been websites and like blogs, but then Web 2.0 was like social media. Now we're entering into Web 3, but like ever since Web 1 and Web 2 has been the immersion, like of personal branding, mm-hmm. which is your chance to tell the world. And so I think what people think, they equate it to, oh, your brand is your logo, or it's your website, or it's social media. But we define it in a much more fundamental way. We really believe that personal branding is simply the digitization of reputation. The digitization of reputation. So to us, this isn't a social media conversation. It's not a website tactics or graphic design. Like, those are little pieces of it. The big idea here is that this is about reputation, and reputation has existed since the dawn of time. The only thing that makes it a new term, personal branding, is what is new is the digitization of reputation. It's saying, we all communicate to the world who we are by what we wear, where we hang out with, who we hang out with, what we believe, what we eat, like everything communicates who we are. But in the world of web, there is now a digital expression of ourselves. And that's what this is really about. And from a business standpoint, Danny, it's a game changer because the internet and, first the internet and then second social media has created explosive exponential opportunity for an average ordinary person to have access suddenly to millions and millions of people.
Right.
And out of that becomes an opportunity to make a lot of money, but to make an impact, to make a difference in the world, to make something that matters. And so that's, what our heart is, to help people understand and help them translate reputation as a personal brand. And then, in many cases, it's to help them make money somehow. There's different ways to do that.
Right. Yeah. So reputation then and brand is similar to the same thing.
Same thing. I mean, what a brand is to a product, a reputation is to a person. It's the same thing. So that's how we define it, right? Like, I mean, if you really ask me how to define brand, I would say it's what people think of when they think of you. That's it.
Yeah.
What do they think of when they think of you? But to a human, like if it's Nike and you go, what do you think of when you think of Nike? You think of Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, just do it. You think athletes, you think sport, when you think Tesla, you think of Elon Musk, you think of, maybe, electric vehicles, saving on gas, like really cool, whatever you think.
Yeah.
When you think of a person, whatever you think about a person is their reputation.
Right.
So this isn't a new concept. The only part that is new is the expression of it online. And that's something people misunderstand. And they go, I don't want to do stupid dances, or I don't want to like like hashtags, and I don't understand this social media stuff. And I don't get it.
Yeah.
That's fine. But what you probably do get is the power and the importance of reputation. And when you get that, you go, oh crap, I better pay attention, because I care a lot about my reputation in an offline world. And today, a huge part of the world is online. Right. So I better take the same amount of care of my online reputation as I do of my offline reputation.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And I was surprised when I first looked up with you at Brand Builders Group. I thought it was more, authors, speakers, influencers. And then I started to see people, from real estate, and people that had different businesses, and photographers, and all these different chiropractors, right? Doctors. And, so I would encourage everybody out there, you all have a brand, and we all have that reputation. So let's shift out, for somebody, Rory, that is not necessarily looking to digitize and monetize it and everything else. You and I have talked a lot about life, right? And being good men and being good husbands and dads. What are some of the pillars for you? And you can give a little of your backstory if you'd like. What are some of the pillars for you in terms of your reputation that are non-negotiable?
Well, look, reputation is about character. I mean, that's a huge part of it. And so my first book, which is called Take the Stairs. So that was the book that hit number 2 on the New York Times.
Yep.
That is really a book about self-discipline and character. It's about overcoming procrastination, doing things you should be doing, even when you don't feel like doing them. And the metaphor we use is take the stairs. Your personal character influences your reputation, both online and offline, or I should say both offline and now also online. Right. And one of the lessons that I learned from my pastor is he said, Rory, your influence will never grow wider than your character runs deep. Your influence will never grow wider than your character runs deep. If at some point it does, and this happens to celebrities, some point their influence grows wider than their character runs deep. There's an explosion and something goes wrong, in their personal life, and then it affects their reputation forever. But it's like, this is, to us, my early work in my career was really about personal development and developing character. The work that AJ and I and our team at Brand Builders Group do now is more about the expression of that, out into the world, which is personal branding. But I think the reason you care about it, like if you're listening and you're not a coach, I mean, if you're a coach or speaker or author, like you should just sign up and work with us, because we do know, I mean, what we do is it will change your life. I mean, literally will change the trajectory of your life. Like we know this business really well. But a lot of the professional services and entrepreneurs and even employees that we're starting to attract, they're coming because they might be trying to draw attention for a cause that they care about, like a nonprofit.
Right.
Or they might be just trying to establish themselves in their own industry as a thought leader so that they can influence the shape of an industry, or so that, you know, they become seen as an authority in their space.
Right.
And then there's a whole lot of people, you know, and there's like, you know, I think of it's not just moms by any means, but I think of the mommy bloggers, right? Where it's like, they're shaping the world. They're shaping the way that people think. They're shaping the way that people raise their children. They're shaping the way that they eat. They're shaping their belief system and who they believe in, right? Like I happen to be a Christian, so I tend to share a fair bit of my faith. If you go to my feed, you won't see it, but if you click on my stories and you look kind of behind the scenes, every day I share a Bible verse and, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
And part of that is just, it's an opportunity to do evangelism for whatever you believe in, right? Like whatever, you know, if you have a different religion or something else that you care about, but you go, it's self-expression, and the vehicles to do that, they matter. And not because of vanity. Like this is not about being famous. This is about, like, for us at Brand Builders Group, there's a lot of things. I mean, AJ and I probably would have made a lot more money a lot faster if we just focused on building our personal brand and not trying to help a bunch of people do it. Like if we just spent all our time doing the things we know how to do.
Right.
But for us, it's a spiritual calling. Yeah. We believe there's a lot of bad messages out there in the world. And we want to equip what we call mission-driven messengers. We want to take what we've learned and equip and pass along this knowledge so that people like you who are doing good in the world and make the world a better place and can inspire and encourage and educate and empower other people. We want to help those people get the word out, because there's so much negativity. There's so much fear-based marketing. There's so much political drama. There's so much reality TV drama that we go, we believe there is a fight. Like we believe there is a war going on in the world for people's attention. And we want to equip and empower those who have a good message to get out and reach more people, because they have to fight harder, because people pay more attention to horror movies and fear and sex and scarcity and political divisiveness and gossip. Those things are natural, psychological. They have there's a stronger psychological draw to those things than there is to character and integrity and spiritual development and personal development. And so our whole company is, you know, a mission-based work. For us.
Good people there. You attract good people for sure. I always love my visits to Nashville. So what's important for what are the foundations do you believe? And this is you know, just coming from Rory. What are the foundations for somebody who is of good character?
And you're talking about just like what makes up our character?
Yeah. What do you think? If you say, you know, this is what makes up a good human being, what do you think that is? What are they?
Yeah. Well, so I think let me talk about it this way, because my frame of reference is that I study success, right? So when you talk about what makes a good person, I feel like it extends a little bit beyond my lane of expertise, but I've studied success and influence my entire life. And so if you go, what makes a person successful? I feel more qualified to talk on that specifically. And what I would say is I would start, Danny, by saying, why aren't people successful? Or what's the number one reason why people aren't successful? And to me, the answer to that is procrastination. most people know what to do. They can't get themselves to do it.
Yeah.
Or they can do it, but they can't get themselves to stick with it.
Right.
And in the Take the Stairs book, so this is all like my early work.
Yeah.
We talk about
great book. I mentioned it in the intro. Great book.
Thank you. So there's three different types of procrastination. So there's classic procrastination, which is consciously delaying the things I know I should be doing. And that's what we all think of when we hear the word procrastination. So it's like, oh, I have bills on the kitchen counter. I know I should pay them, but I'm tired and so I don't want to. But that's not the most dangerous form of procrastination, because we know when we're doing it, we're aware of it.
Right.
The other two types of procrastination are much more dangerous. And so we invented these terms. The second one is what we call creative avoidance. And creative avoidance is different because it's unconscious. It's unconsciously filling the day, filling your life with menial, trivial activities, minutia, and creating a bunch of insignificant things for yourself to do.
Right.
So that you can complete those things and feel good. It's a false sense of productivity. It makes us feel good, but really it's a creative way of avoiding doing the things we know we should be doing that we don't feel like doing.
Yeah.
It's creative avoidance.
Love it.
And then the third one is what we call priority dilution. And priority dilution is a fascinating form of procrastination because it affects the very people you wouldn't think to be procrastinators. It affects the chronic overachievers, the movers and shakers, the do-gooders, the checklisters, the taskmasters, the executives, the entrepreneurs, like all the people who you wouldn't think that struggle with procrastination. They all do, not because they're lazy or apathetic or disengaged like the first two, but because they unconsciously allow their attention to shift to less important, but perhaps more urgent tasks. If somebody's struggling with creative avoidance, their life is characterized as a constant state of distraction. Somebody struggling with priority dilution, their life is characterized as a constant state of interruption. They're falling victim to whatever is latest and loudest, but it's the same net result that at the end of the day, their most significant priorities are left incomplete. Not because they're not smart enough, not because they don't have a spiritual gift, not because they're not talented, and not because they don't know what to do. It's because they don't have the discipline to do the things they know they should be doing, even when they don't feel like doing them, which is what Take the Stairs is all about.
Yeah. So let's stay on this, because I imagine a lot of people listening right now are going, oh my gosh, Rory's talking to me. What do you say to those people that go, oh my gosh, he just absolutely described me?
Well, the first thing I would say is, I know, I know, because it's me. It's everybody.
Yeah.
We all struggle.
Yeah.
We all struggle.
How do we move through that? How do we grow stronger? How do we eliminate some of that procrastination and generate more, more focus, inspiration, fulfillment?
Yeah. So, I believe like, and I said, I studied success my whole life. I was a black belt at 10 years old. I tried to practice this personally, right? So I became valedictorian, got a full ride scholarship. I was in direct sales, went door to door, got my MBA the same day as I got my undergrad degree, did the world championship of public speaking, then became a New York Times bestselling author. We built an 8-figure company. We sold it. I'm not saying those things to brag. I'm saying those things to say, I have walked with this personally. And then we also have studied this. So the company we sold, we had over 5,000 coaching clients one-on-one. And I have interviewed more than 500 ultra performers and, multipliers on our podcasts. And so we have done national research studies. And I can tell you, Danny, I believe that the entire secret of success can be boiled down to this one simple word: discipline. Discipline. The most successful people in the world simply have the discipline to do the things they know they should be doing, even when they don't feel like doing them.
Right.
And what what we realized through the course of doing the research and writing that first book was that discipline is not as hard as we all think once we know how to think about it the right way. So there are actually 7 key distinctions, 7 misconceptions that these ultra performers, we call them ultra performers, the top 1%ers of every industry, that they understand that most people do not, which make up the seven pillars or the 7 chapters of the Take This Serious book. And so they're like 7 switches basically you need to flip. And if you could flip these switches, then what would happen is you would overcome procrastination, you would take action, you would get results, which would build your reputation, which would grow your influence, which gives you the ability to create income and impact in the world.
Right.
So we can talk about any of those 7, but if you want to go all the way back to the beginning, like that's discipline.
Yeah, discipline. So the first step for somebody to build more discipline, what do you think?
Yeah. So a slight nuance.
Give them some homework, so to speak.
Yeah.
Nuance.
Buy
the book, number 1. Buy the book. That's your homework. And then Rory's going to give you a little more.
Yeah. So, one key distinction is I would think about it not as here's how you build more discipline. I would tell you the key is going, here's how you need to think about discipline. Mm-hmm. When you have to build discipline, it's almost like, I got to develop or muster up the willpower or whatever.
Yeah, it's like drudgery, right? Yeah.
It's like drudgery. Yeah. In reality, once you understand that if you change your thinking on this, everything changes. So I'll give you a good example. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there is let's tell you a story. So in Colorado, where I grew up, we are world famous for the Rocky Mountains, and to the western part of the state, we have the Great Rocky Mountains. What a lot of people don't realize about Colorado is that to the eastern part of the state, we have the Great Kansas Plain. So it's very flat. So because of its unique topographical landscape, Colorado is one of the only places in the world that has both buffalo and cows. And there's a fantastic lesson, Danny, from studying the way that these two creatures respond to storms. So when a storm comes, storms almost always come from the west. And what happens is they roll out towards the east, and cows can sense that a storm is coming from the west. And so they'll try to run east to get away from the storm. But if you know anything about cows, you know they're not real fast. And so as they try to run east away from the storm catches up with them rather quickly. Well, without knowing any better, the cows continue to try to outrun the storm. Right. But instead of outrunning the storm, they actually run with the storm, which maximizes the amount of pain and time and frustration they experience from that storm. Yeah. Isn't that stupid?
Yes.
Stupid.
Yeah.
But humans do the exact same thing all the time. Yeah, we spend so much of our lives constantly trying to avoid the inevitable challenges that come along with the difficult circumstances that our very own choices have led us to be in. And the key insight that the ultra performers have realized, it's not that they have more discipline than the rest of us. It's not that they have more willpower. It's not that their DNA is different. It's that they have learned to think differently. They have made realizations. They have discovered insights that cause them to process this differently. And one of the key insights they've realized is problems that are procrastinated on are only amplified. Problems procrastinated on are amplified. Waiting makes it worse.
Yeah.
So
true.
So what happens? So to finish the story, okay, what buffalo do is very unique for the animal kingdom. So buffalo will wait for the storm to cross right over the ridge of the peak of the mountaintop. And as the storm rolls over the ridge, buffalo, instead of running east to try to run away from the storm, buffalo will turn and they will run west. They run into the storm.
Right.
They run at the storm, and by running at the storm, they run straight through it. which minimizes the amount of pain and time and frustration they experience from that storm. So this buffalo mentality is very representative of the take the stairs mindset of an ultra performer, and it leads us to the first of the 7 principles, which simply it's called the paradox principle, which simply stated is this: easy short-term choices lead to difficult long-term consequences. Meanwhile, difficult short-term choices lead to easy long-term consequences.
Yeah.
So the great paradox here is what seems easy in life, buying whatever I want on credit if I can't afford it, eating whatever I want, like whatever type of indulgence, like saying whatever I want without considering other people's feelings, being lazy when I should be active. Those things that seem easy, they actually are the vehicles to the more difficult life. And inversely, the things that seem difficult, working hard when I don't feel like it, saving money instead of spending money, doing personal development and education, putting in the reps, like doing the work, everything that seems difficult in the short term is the vehicle to the easier life. And so what happens here, Danny, is it's a change. It's a neurological rewiring of your brain. And once you do this, it changes your whole life, because you realize, like, take the stairs is not about making life as hard as possible. It's the opposite. Our goal is about making life as easy as possible, but it is predicated upon an unpopular truth and an unpopular premise that the shortest, most guaranteed path to greatness is to do the hardest parts of things as soon as possible. And if you do those things as soon as possible, then you will get results. You will build reputation. Out of reputation, you have character, you have influence, you have impact, you have income.
Right.
But people try to avoid pain. They try to find a way out of the storm. And what they don't realize is we always have storms. The only choice we have is how we respond and when we respond. Yeah. And it's realizing that procrastination and indulgence are really nothing more than creditors that charge us interest.
That's it. That is it. That is it. Well, I think you probably have stimulated some thought for these people listening. So as I said, I would encourage you all to get that book, Take the Stairs. It's a great read. And Rory, you do such a great job. I mean, I've heard that story before. It's just perfect because you absolutely get it. And I think people can really see themselves as these cows, especially with the past couple of years we've been through, right? Trying to outrun all of this stuff. And you and I have talked about what it did to the speaker industry and everything, versus just to say, okay, what do I need to do right now? What can I do, to move me through this? Because I can't control that. I can just control what I'm doing right now. Yeah. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Let me ask you a couple questions before we get out of here. Who is the most interesting, coolest, wonderfulest person you've ever chatted with?
AJ Vaden, my wife, and our CEO. Yeah.
Yes. Who's number 2?
Probably my mommy. I love my mom. I was raised by a single mother who sold Mary Kay, and she raised two of us. My mom was divorced twice by the time she was 22 years old, and had no college degree, and was raising 2 of us by herself in her early 20s after being divorced twice. So she's amazing. I mean, so, you say outside of my family, what's the question? Most interesting? Is that what you're asking?
Put any adjective in there. I would say interesting, coolest. I mean, who have you enjoyed speaking with the most? Somebody.
I mean, I was personally mentored by a man named Zig Ziglar for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Zig Ziglar was a very special man. And he was somebody who truly cared about making the world a better place. He truly cared about helping people succeed. It was never about money or vanity for him. It was genuinely about helping people live better lives. So he's amazing. Dave Ramsey is somebody who's a personal mentor. You know, I get to see Dave one-on-one, maybe, you know, a couple times a year. Like
Right.
we're not super close, but we're, you know, we're buds. And
Yeah.
to see what he's done has been huge.
Yeah.
One of our clients right now is Ed Milet. He's a
Mhm.
pretty massive world influencer. We're helping him with his book launch. He was just on our podcast,
Yeah.
and we've been helping him, you know, coordinate a very
Give us a
huge
quick,
book
what's
launch.
that book all about? Because I've seen some information on it out there.
Ed's book.
Yep.
So the book is called The Power of One More.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that you're closer to changing your life than you realize.
Mm.
Like all of us think, we all think we're so far away from millions of dollars, or we're so far away from world renown, or we're so far away from restoring our marriage or restoring a relationship. And the premise of the book is that actually you're not that far away as you think. You're one great conversation away.
Mm-hmm.
You're one great phone call. You're one great relationship. You're one great idea. You're one great, you know, season.
Yeah.
You're one technique away. And if you just find a way to do one more, like that one can change everything. But people don't. They basically quit and give up because they feel hopeless, and it feels further away than we actually are, which, you know, I very much believe, and Ed believes. He's very much he's a devout Christian. He's very open about his faith.
Yeah.
But we very much believe that's the devil. The devil's, you know, regardless of what you believe, but like, you know, in the ancient texts, the tool that the devil uses is doubt.
Sure.
That's the tool of the devil. It's doubt. It's not like overt horror and fear or even sabotage. It's doubt. And then he causes you to doubt God and doubt yourself. And that's, you know, anytime you're feeling self-doubt, the devil is there. The devil is winning. The devil has occupied your space. And Ed's going, it's not true. Like, it's just a tool that he's using to hold you back. The truth is that God multiplies very small things into huge things.
Right.
You just got to believe, and you just got to do one more and one more. So that's what Ed's book's about. And it's going to be a huge book launch.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. I'm going to grab that for sure. Yeah. It's all about, you and I have talked, it's all about trust, right? That's the word that continues to come back to me. You know, trust is you know, everybody says hope is to want something. Trust is to have a firm belief in the reliability, right, of something or some, and for you and me, you know, it's God. Just have that trust, and you can move through. Yeah, I think it's cool. And anybody you're looking to speak with that you haven't had a conversation with? Anybody?
Oh, well, that's interesting. I mean, there's all sorts of fascinating people. People are always sort of like surprised at how random my tastes are. Like, we went to Justin Bieber concert like 2 nights ago in Nashville. Loved it.
Yep.
I love anyone who's a performer or like a master of their craft. I love Eminem.
Yep.
The rapper is one of my favorites, you know. So I'm fascinated by anyone who is an ultra performer, like anyone who has mastered a craft. It doesn't matter if it's painting or search engine optimization or tax strategy or speaking or writing. I am fascinated with anyone who has truly mastered a craft. I'm just, you know, as much as I'm a teacher, I very, very much think of myself as a student, like more than a teacher. I always have. But, you know, I would love to, you know, I'd love to interview a Michael Jordan. I'd love to interview I'd love to talk to those people, Eminem, like any of these kind of worldly performers. But, you know, for the most part, we've been around enough celebrities and stuff that it's like, it's really fun to do these things. Our heart is for people that are the aspiring mission-driven messenger, Danny. Like, it's super fun to work with an Ed Milet or a Lewis Howes, right? So if any of you know Lewis, he's another one of our clients we've worked a lot with. You know, Tom and Lisa Bilyeu. So we just worked with Lisa on her book launch last week. But It's super fun. But what gives us the most joy is when a Danny Bader succeeds. Like when our heart is for the person who's the world's like best kept secret,
Right.
because we don't want him to be the world's best kept secret. We want everyone to know how awesome they are, and seeing them win, and the stories that come out of our brand builders group community where, Jen Cohen ended up doing a TED talk that went viral and she got 3.5 million views. Our friend Anton, launched a 7-figure business in 3 years. The Candy Valentino just got this 6-figure book advance. Like, those stories are super inspiring because it's seeing the good people win.
Yes.
And helping the world to discover the amazing people who are in and among us every day. And I think it's like, there's so much greatness in and among the people who are there every day. And we put too many people on too high of a pedestal that just because they're public. So we want to hear your story, like you listening. And by the way, like anyone who's listening right now, if you go, man, I think I do have a message to share with the world. I do feel a calling on my heart. Like whether or not you want to make a business out of it, but if you go, I have something inside of me that I want to get out. I feel called to share. If you go to freebrandcall.com/Danny Bader, so freebrandcall.com/Danny Bader, we do the first call for free with everybody.
Yep.
And we'll show you our whole formula. Like we'll lay out the whole picture of exactly how we have helped some of the biggest personal brands in the world get that way. And what we've been able to do for ourselves and our clients. And because we want to know you, like the highlight of my month professionally, Danny, is at our events when we're around our community and getting to hug everybody and hear what they're struggling with and what they're working on, and see people, especially when you guys are helping one another, like that's inspiring. It gives us life.
Yeah. No, it's cool. A lot of great people down there. A lot of great people. Well, listen, my friend, where could they could go to Brand Builders? You've also got your website, right?
Yeah. If you're interested in the personal brand strategy stuff, I would just stay focused and go to freebrandcall.com/Danny Bader.
Right.
If you just want to keep in touch with me, I write a lot about the psychology of influence and success. RoryVadenblog.com. You could go there, and every week I do, a video and blog article and podcast. It's all totally free. So you can check that out as well.
I like your reels too. You got some great reels out on Instagram.
Thanks, buddy.
They can find you there. They can find you.
Thank you. And the last little thing I would just say, Danny, is just like, if anybody's listening and you feel the calling on your heart to like share a message with the world, usually the number one reason why we don't is because of doubt. We doubt ourselves. We go, who's going to listen to me? Or I don't have a big audience, or somebody else has already said that, or like, and I'd say, be careful. Like, doubt is the tool of the devil, right? So like that, but beyond that, I would say, look, the calling on your heart that you feel, we believe is the result of a signal that's being sent out by someone else. And that person needs you more than you need them.
That's it.
That person is out there looking for you. And that's what you're hearing. Like, it's coming through the universe and it's coming to you, and they're trying to find you. And the reason they're looking for you is because they need answers to questions that you already know the answers to. Right. They're walking through obstacles that you've already overcome. They're trying to conquer a challenge that you've already been through. They're trying they're going through a setback that you have already survived. And that person needs you more than you need them. So if you have any sort of prompting related to that, do freebrandcall.com/Danny Bader and let's talk about it.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I remember I had that doubt when I wrote the first book, and Pam McLean, who's the CEO of the Hudson Institute out in Santa Barbara Coaching School, she said to me, she just said, what if you're not writing it for the people that don't want it? You're not writing it for the people that don't want it. And once I got through all the double negatives in there, I'm like, oh, cool. There's a lot of people that this book may support and help. So I love it. Rory, I love you, man. Thanks for jumping on here. Look forward to seeing you soon. Say hi to AJ and everybody out there. Thanks for joining us on another episode of our Back to Life podcast. And until next time, just go out and create a lot of inspiration and fulfillment and resilience, because that's what you're here for. Take care. Hey, everybody. Well, listen, thanks a lot for joining in on this episode with my friend Rory. Just great insight about the brand world, for sure, about what your own personal brand is. I love that story about the buffaloes and the cow that I talked to you about, and you probably can identify with that. I'm sure you got some things that you're going to take away from this. I really liked, certainly when we talked about Take the Stairs, and he kind of got into some of the context of that book and the content of that book. I love that he calls people mission-driven messengers, and whether you have one follower or 100 million followers, it really doesn't matter. And whether you're looking to write books or sell books, or just thinking about how you show up in the world, and get your message of goodness out there and get your message of trust out there. It was interesting when we started to talk about our faith a little bit, and he said that, the doubt, when doubt creeps in for us, that's when the devil shows up. So some really good insight. I would highly recommend that you follow Rory, grab that book, Take the Stairs, comment, like, share this episode with somebody else that may benefit from it. And until next time we're together, just remember to create an awful lot of inspiration and fulfillment in your life, because after all, that's what you are here for.